I wasn't trying to listen. That's the part I keep replaying in my head. Because if I'd intentionally gone looking for something, maybe this would feel different. But I didn't. I just happened to hear it. And once I did, I couldn't hear him the same way again. It was late. Not extremely late, but late enough that the apartment had that quiet feeling to it, where every sound feels sharper than usual. I had fallen asleep on the couch while watching something I wasn't even paying attention to anymore. And at some point during the night, I woke up because I heard his voice. Soft, careful, somewhere down the hallway. At first, I assumed it was on a work call. He traveled a lot for work, so random late night calls weren't unusual. But something about his tone felt different, too controlled, like someone trying not to be overheard. I remember checking the time, 2:13 a.m. And even now, I remember that specific time because something about waking up in the middle of the night and hearing someone speak in a voice you don't recognize immediately unsettles you. Not because you know something is wrong, but because your body notices unfamiliarity before your mind does. I got up quietly to go to the kitchen for water. And as soon as I walked down the hallway, I realized I was in the spare room with the door almost closed, still talking. And I know this sounds strange, but I could tell from the pauses that it wasn't having a normal conversation. It sounded rehearsed, measured, like every sentence had already been thought through before he said it. Then I heard my name, and I stopped walking immediately. Not dramatically. I didn't gasp or freeze like some people do in movies. It was more subtle than that. Like my body went still before I consciously understood why. At first, I thought he was talking to someone about me, but after listening for a few more seconds, I realized he wasn't talking to anyone. There was no response, no interruption, no conversation. He was practicing. I know how insane that sounds. Even typing it in my head now sounds ridiculous. But that's exactly what it was. He was sitting in that room, rehearsing a conversation about our relationship out loud by himself. I couldn't hear every word clearly. Some parts were too low, but I heard enough. Phrases like, I didn't want to hurt you. You have to understand. It wasn't intentional. And every sentence sounded polished, smoothened out, like he was editing emotions in real time. What unsettled me the most wasn't even the content. It was how familiar he sounded saying it, like he had already practiced this before. Maybe not those exact words, but the performance of it. I stayed there longer than I should have, not fully eating, just outside the hallway where the light from the kitchen barely reached. And the longer I listened, the stranger it felt. Because there's something deeply unsettling about hearing someone carefully construct the emotional version of themselves they plan to present to you, especially when they think they're alone. At one point, he stopped speaking completely, and for a second, I thought he heard me, but then he sighed quietly and started again. This time, softer, more emotional, like he was trying different versions of sincerity to see which one sounded most believable. I went back to the couch before he came out. I don't even remember deciding to do it. I just knew I suddenly didn't want him to know I heard any of it. Because the second someone realizes they have been exposed, they adjust. And I wanted one more moment of seeing him naturally, without correction. When he walked back into the living room a few minutes later, he looked completely normal, calm, relaxed. He even smiled slightly when he saw me awake. And suddenly, I understood something horrifying. Some people prepare emotions the same way people prepare presentations rather. The next morning, he acted the same way. Made coffee, asked me if I slept okay, touched my shoulders casually while walking past me. And the entire time, all I could think was, which version of him was real? The one speaking naturally now, or the one practicing vulnerability alone at 2 in the morning? I never told him I heard him, mostly because I didn't know how. How do you explain to someone that you accidentally witnessed the private construction of their honesty? And honestly, part of me didn't want to hear the explanation anyway. After the night, every serious conversation between us felt different. Not fake, actually, just curated. Like I became aware of the structure underneath his emotions, the timing of pauses, the wording, the careful delivery. And once you notice that, it's hard to fully trust what you are hearing anymore. The relationship ended a few months later for reasons bigger than that night. But if I'm being honest, that was the moment something permanently shifted for me. Because vulnerability sounds different when it's spontaneous. And I think deep down, everyone knows that. This is private voice notes by Catherine Wishelu, where sometimes the most revealing moments are the ones never meant to be witnessed.